Unsung Murder Ballads discusses topics of a disturbing nature.
And we're not going to hold back on the graphic details and disturbing content.
So we do not recommend our podcast for children under the age of 13.
And while we respect the victims and their families involved in these tragic cases,
we're also going to be critical of mistakes that are made during the investigations.
And we're going to use dark humor to express ourselves now and then.
So with that said, this podcast may not be for everyone.
And that's okay. We're glad you're here checking us out.
And if you've made it this far, welcome to the Unsung Murder Ballads family. And follow us on Instagram at Unsung Murder Ballads if you want to talk to us.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Unsung Murder Ballads. This is episode 77. I am Janus Dead.
And I'm Joyous Dead.
All right, so before we get started, I do want to send out a huge shout out to, I'm not going to say your full name, but there's a guy named Steve who's been going through our Instagram page, liking every post in order. So clearly, Steve, you're binge watching and we see you and we appreciate you. So that's pretty funny.
Yes, I've been getting those notifications on my phone.
Yeah, it's so funny because I'm like, who, what? And I'm like, okay, rock on.
Yeah, I'm like, I think that my personal Instagram is getting all these likes, and it's like, no, actually, no one's that big of a fan of me. But our podcast, yes.
Right, and it's just funny how it works out that way because the same thing happens to me. I'm like, oh, cool. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, it's the podcast, which I'm very excited about. In fact, I'd prefer my personal one not blow up the way this one is.
True.
And all our episodes are now on YouTube, so go ahead and check those out there if you want. Over time, I will be editing and adding in images so that it's more than just the audio, but that'll take time. But they are all up there if that's how you get or if that's how people get their true crime, you can go there too.
Hell yeah.
All right. So tonight we've got a good case. This has got I'm not even gonna tease. I'm gonna give you the teaser, but I'm not gonna ruin too much more. I don't want you to figure it out as we go.
Alrighty, let's rock.
Okay, so it was March of 2011, and the iPad 2 had just released that day. And the management...
Okay, good start. We're talking about the iPad. Let's rock.
Right? And the management team of the Apple Store in Bethesda, Maryland, were finishing up a grueling day of retail.
I bet.
Yeah, I can't even imagine, like, especially back then when all that stuff was so new.
Yeah, and people were, like, lining up overnight. Ooh.
Yeah, fuck that. So one manager was in the back, closing out the day's paperwork, when she could hear a commotion through the walls into the connected store next door of Lululemon. She was unsure of what she was hearing and called another manager over to listen as well. And the two literally put their heads up against the wall. They could distinctly hear someone say, "Don't do this. Talk to me. What's going on?"
Ooh.
This was followed by grunting and shouting, and after that, a woman's voice crying out saying, "God help me, please help me."
Oh no.
Now, due to the expensive nature of the iPad 2 release, Apple had supplied the Apple Store with security guards to ensure that someone would be present to handle any unforeseen issues at their location.
Mm-hmm.
Surveillance footage from inside the Apple Store shows the manager standing next to the shared wall, then walking away. All the while, there's a security guard sitting there listening to music on an iPod.
Oh, well, that's not really what you should be doing as an on-duty security guard.
Exactly. And not only that, the managers listened at the wall for 9 minutes before they decided to do absolutely nothing.
Wow, that's great.
Yep. They basically looked at each other, shrugged, and said, "It's just drama," and they didn't want to get involved.
Oh my God.
So this is the case of what is known as the Lululemon Murder and how a series of bad decisions led to the death of Jayna Murray. Now, I do have to say, before I heard of this case, I had no idea what the fuck Lululemon was.
Really?
I had no idea. I mean,
wow.
I know.
You really live in under a specific rock.
Exactly. No, don't get me wrong. I knew what yoga pants were.
Yeah. I'm sure you know yoga pants.
But I didn't know the name of the company that invented them, and I had no idea.
Oh, I didn't know they invented them, but they're big. That's the big bougie yoga pants, Lululemon.
Yeah, like I found out it since like the name brand, like the name brand.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I had no idea. But again, you're right. I live in a world that doesn't really involve that much athletic activity.
Or the purchasing of yoga pants.
Yes, very true. Although I do want to throw out a small plug. I don't know if it's still out there, but I had a friend in college who has since gone on to have a country band career up here in Massachusetts. He's not down in the South or Texas or anything. And he has a song, his band has a song called Yoga Pants, which is kind of an amusing country song. So if anyone wants to go and look up that, you may. It's kind of funny.
Oh my God. I can only guess.
Yeah, it's just, it's got that standard joke of really enjoying the way yoga pants look when they're worn, basically.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah, and it's a good look. I'm not going to lie.
We all love it. Listen, there's no complaints here.
No, in the 80s, all the girls were, and some of the guys were wearing spandex, and today it's yoga pants. Yeah.
Kind of the same thing.
Basically, yes. Although I believe, I've never put them on, but yoga pants, I think, are made of better material.
Yeah, but they definitely have spandex in them. So.
Yeah, that's probably true. But like spandex itself, I remember spandex in the 80s, and it was very like silky and smooth, almost too soft, whereas yoga pants have a better texture, I think.
Well, I have the solution. You need to try on some yoga pants.
Oh my.
And some spandex.
You know what? Maybe we'll make a special video for that.
Yeah, fans.
We'll see how much they can take.
What you want to see on our Instagram?
Yeah, let us know. Comment below. Okay. With all that said.
Anyway, Lululemon and some shit going on.
So the next morning, the day after the iPad 2 was released, a manager named Rachel Ortley came to open the Lululemon store and was surprised to find that the front door wasn't locked.
Retro.
Exactly. Anyone who's ever worked retail or food service management would recognize this as a huge red flag.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, personally, I wouldn't have entered the store and would have called the police, but...
Yeah, I'd be terrified.
Yeah, Rachel, however, was just more annoyed that the closing manager hadn't locked it, and she went inside. She was immediately alarmed when there was clear evidence of a struggle as items were strewn about. And the further she walked into the store, she started seeing bloody footprints and could hear someone moaning in the back room.
Oh, no. Run.
Exactly. So at this point, she quickly exited the building, and she's taking out her phone, and there's a man out there named Ryan Howe who was sitting outside the Apple store, and he saw that she was upset and asked if she was okay. He offered to go inside and look around, which again, not a good idea.
Nope.
But this is exactly what happened.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he went inside and saw the same things that she did, but he walked further into the back. There, he saw what appeared to be the body of a man covered in blood laying on the floor in one room, and a woman bound with her arms above her head in another.
Oh.
He was sure that the woman was breathing, but he returned outside and told Rachel she definitely needed to call the police because there's a body inside.
Ugh.
Rachel called 911 and told the dispatcher, quote, "There's 2 people in the back of my store. One person seems dead, and the other person is breathing," unquote.
Oh, my God.
The police arrived on the scene to discover that it was not a man lying on the floor, but Jayna Murray lying face down in a pool of her own blood.
Ugh.
In the bathroom was Brittany Norwood, bound with zip ties, covered in blood with cuts all over her body, and the crotch of her pants had been cut open.
Oh, no.
Brittany was alive and was very quickly brought to the hospital, while police began to investigate the crime scene. Jayna had a ligature around her neck, and she had been stabbed numerous times.
Ugh.
We are going to go into further detail on her injuries later, but for now, just understand that she was, multiple stab wounds, multiple bruises, abrasions, and defensive wounds.
Ugh.
So now, speaking about Jayna, she was from Arlington, Virginia, and she had graduated from George Washington University in 2003 with a degree in international marketing and business. She was pursuing a Master's of Business Administration from Johns Hopkins University, where she received her Master's of Arts in Public and Media Relations in 2009. Jayna was adventurous. In fact, she loved nothing more than to be going out and doing thrilling and exciting things like bungee jumping. But it was yoga that brought her a great sense of balance and calmness in her life, So her job at Lululemon just sort of made perfect sense to her.
Mm-hmm.
So she had accepted the job at Lululemon Athletica so that she could meet other people and attend seminars that would help her as she pursued her degrees. And this is what led to the day that she was found murdered. When police searched the store, they found 2 sets of bloody footprints. One set of footprints was a woman's. The other belonged to a size 14 men's shoe.
Oh my God, big.
The men's shoe was found inside the store.
Huh.
The safes within the store were also empty. It appeared that it had been a robbery that had clearly escalated. So the police decided it was time to go to the hospital and talk to Brittany, and this was on the 12th of March. Brittany would recount the events through tears and near hysterical sobs at times.
Oh, poor thing.
She told them that she had been working with Jayna the night before and that they had locked up for the night and went their separate ways. It was soon after that she realized she had forgotten her wallet, so she had to call and ask Jayna to come back so she could get into the store to retrieve it because Jayna was the one with the keys.
Mm-hmm.
So Jayna agreed and turned around and they both went back into the store. 2 men wearing ski masks followed them inside the store, grabbed them, and bound them. They sexually assaulted both of them, but because Jayna was resisting, they began to savagely beat her.
Oh.
Brittany asked the police how Jayna was doing, but the police officers deflected her question, not wanting to further upset Brittany while they were asking her questions. Brittany then told police that she had been raped and the men used a wooden clothes hanger to sexually assault her.
Oh my God. That's fucking horrible.
She also told police that the man who attacked her told her the reason that he didn't kill her was because she was fun to fuck.
Oh.
She said at one point one of the men pushed her down onto Jayna's body. Brittany told police that she was scared because the men had gone into her purse and had looked at her ID so they knew her name and her address.
Oh God.
They also swore at her, racially abused her, as Brittany is an African-American woman, and called her a dirty slut.
Oh.
She described the men to police, one being tall, over 6 feet, and the other being shorter. Both men were wearing ski masks and dressed in black, but based on their voices and the racial slurs they used, she guessed that both of them were white. So Lululemon didn't have cameras, but the Apple Store did.
Mm-hmm.
So police went through the footage from the Apple Store's camera, and at one point around 11 p.m., they saw 2 men walk past around the time that Brittany had said they would. One was tall, one was short, they were both wearing black. One of them had a hat on that looked like the type that could be pulled down over his face to become a mask. So the police have their suspects and they're looking for them. The owner of the Lululemon store offered a $125,000 reward to anyone who could help police find, apprehend, and convict the 2 men. However, it didn't take long for police to find these 2 men.
Oh, wow.
They both worked at a nearby restaurant as busboys.
Idiots.
Well, they both had alibis because they were both working at the time of the killing.
Yeah, interesting.
So the police now are back to square one. So despite the fact that Jayna had returned to the store, her car was not located outside.
Oh, that's weird.
Her car was found 3 blocks away, and there was blood inside the vehicle.
Oh, what the hell?
Inside the car was Jayna's blood and a second person's DNA. So police contact Brittany again, and they ask her to come down to the station on the 16th. They said that they wanted to take hair samples and fingerprints so they could identify which were hers and which were not to help eliminate anything from the crime scenes.
Mm-hmm.
While she was at the station, she was asked if she knew what Jayna's car looked like, and she told them that she did not. The next day, police received a call from Brittany's brother and her sister. They told police that Brittany had been afraid to share some information with them and wanted to be re-interviewed. Her siblings told police that the men who attacked her had forced her to move Jayna's car.
Oh, that's fucked.
So based on this new information, police arranged a meeting with her, and Brittany came in and she told them that before she was sexually assaulted, the men had forced her to move her car from that store's parking lot down a few blocks. According to Brittany, she went alone. And even though she saw a police officer while she was moving the car, she did not stop or seek any help because she claimed she was afraid for her life.
Oh, what a awful situation to be in.
Well, at this point, the police officers had finally had enough. They told Brittany that they did not believe anything she was telling them.
Well, is that really helpful?
Well, Detective Dmitry Rubin, who questioned Brittany, later said that, quote, "It was just this voice in the back of my head. Something's not right."
Mm-hmm.
The way Brittany's describing these two guys, they're racist, they're rapists, they're robbers, they're murderers. It's like the worst human being you could possibly describe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unquote. They said the evidence did not corroborate her version of events and statements that she made about what happened. They believe that Brittany Norwood staged the robbery and caused her own injuries to try to cover up the fact that she had brutally murdered her coworker, Jayna.
Huh.
She was arrested and charged with first-degree murder.
Really?
Yes. Here's a little bit of history on Brittany Norwood. Brittany was born on May 18th, 1982, and was part of the graduating class of 2000 from Decatur High School in Federal Way, Washington State. She moved to Long Island, New York to study sociology at Stony Brook University and received praise as a remarkable soccer player playing defense through her junior year. By the time of the investigation, she had had no formal criminal record. She did, however, have a number of complaints from her team players, classmates, and roommates who all claimed that she was a kleptomaniac and stole money and clothes from them.
Oh,
There
interesting.
were no reports that suggested anything was amiss regarding her family members. So she was one of 9 children.
Oh, wow.
And her whole family themselves were respected and admired by the community where they lived in Kent, Washington. Both her parents had consistently been described as friendly and generous, dedicating themselves to raising their children that same way. Her parents basically dedicated themselves to their children's needs, which even as things were going on, like as they're running their furniture and upholstery business, when that hit hard times, they were still there to make sure their kids have everything they want.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been said that she had the support from her family to pursue her original dream to play on the U.S. women's national soccer team.
Mm-hmm.
Family and friends began to comment about her aggressive behavior on the field, but said that it never manifested itself off the field.
Right. That's normal.
Yeah, I think so. But her friends and family do say that her only vice was stealing.
Hmm.
Norwood was eventually reported for various thefts and lost her scholarship and was expelled from the school.
Oof, that's bad.
At one point, she even went into a hair salon and refused to pay for services, claiming that someone had stolen her wallet out of her bag.
Huh.
There was also allegations of her stalking her ex-boyfriend in 2007.
Oh, yikes.
A restraining order had been filed against her by that same ex, and she basically, instead of going to court, she would consistently call and reschedule the hearings, claiming work conflicts. And basically this went on until the warrant expired and her ex-boyfriend could not offer any physical evidence of domestic violence. So basically,
Oh, okay. So she does have a criminal record.
she does, but it was never put in the criminal record. Does that make sense? Like, she's only supposed to go
got
for
you,
hearings,
yeah.
but it was never finalized. She basically played out the game.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Mm.
She then moved to Washington, D.C., and sometime that year, she was living with one of her 4 sisters. She initially started working at a hotel and actually got promoted to manager fairly quickly, but then soon after lost that job, which we can probably guess why.
Yep.
So she had strong aspirations of opening her own gym, and this led her to put in applications for places like Lululemon.
Mm-hmm.
Texts on her phone also kind of lead investigators to believe that she may have been leading a second life, moonlighting as a sex worker, based on interactions with personal ads on Craigslist.
Oh, interesting.
You know what? I don't judge people for how they make their money at all. Like, I understand that. If there's a demand and you're willing to provide that service, that more power to you.
Yep.
Okay, so reportedly, Her managers at Lululemon had suspected that she was shoplifting, but they couldn't fire her without direct proof.
Mm-hmm.
So on that fateful night of March 11th, 2011, Jayna had finally caught Norwood in the act, and she paid for that with her life.
Oh, God.
So here's what really went down that night. Jayna and Norwood, because I'm not going to call her Brittany anymore. Jayna and Norwood were both walking out the door at the end of their shift, and Lululemon has a policy, and a lot of retail places has this policy, where women have to kind of check each other's bags on camera.
That's normal.
Yep. So it's at this point that Jayna sees that Norwood has a pair of leggings in her bag, and she tells her that she's going to have to report it.
Right. It's like, girl, why are you doing that when you know we're bag checking?
Obviously, it doesn't happen every night if she thought she could get away with it.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe it only happens with some people. There's definitely, yeah.
Yeah. They left the store around 9:45, and 6 minutes later, Jayna would make a call to the store manager and tell her about finding the leggings in Norwood's bag. Soon after, Norwood called Jayna and told her that she had forgotten her wallet in the store and she needed to get back inside to get it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I got to say, Jayna is a better person than I am, because I would not have gone back.
Right.
You know, after finding you stealing, there's no way in hell I would put myself in that situation.
Right.
So what happened immediately after the two re-entered the store is unclear, but the likely scenario believed by investigators is that Norwood tried to downplay the theft and talk Jayna out of reporting it, but Jayna refused. Norwood, realizing that she could not convince Jayna, began arguing with her, and then eventually this took a violent turn, so loud that the Apple store managers could hear it through the walls.
Oof.
Now, Mary Ripple, the deputy chief medical examiner for the state of Maryland, told jurors that Jayna Murray had no fewer than 331 injuries.
What?
331.
That's actually fucking insane.
Yeah, that came from 5 different weapons.
Ugh.
Literally, at one point, Norwood goes into a toolbox and starts beating her with pretty much everything inside it.
Oh, this bitch is fucked up.
Unfortunately, Jayna was alive for most of her injuries,
Oh.
including 7 blunt force wounds before a final one ultimately crushed her skull and bruised the inner part of her brain.
Oh, God.
This, the coroner commented, could only have been caused by tremendous force, which I can't even imagine. I'm guessing she stood up and just started stomping, or maybe hit her with the toolbox itself.
Yeah.
So, besides the garrote that had been used to strangle her, there were stab wounds on her shoulders, lower back, and 2 to the back of her head. The coroner predicted that the fatal wound was one on the back of her neck, which severed her spinal cord and went all the way through to her brain.
Oh.
Fucking crazy.
This is brutal.
Now, Norwood's wounds, on the other hand, were all superficial and not nearly as brutal. She literally just kind of did light scratches on herself to make it look like she might have been a victim.
Damn, she didn't really try that hard, did she?
She's not smart, no. A minor scratch on her forehead, which had blood trailing down in a straight line, proved, forensically that she had been in an upright position the entire night, which was inconsistent with her testimony being that she was on the floor, semi-conscious, after being violently attacked.
Right.
Now, Jayna's injuries were so gruesome that her family was not able to have an open casket at her funeral.
Oh, that's so awful.
After using items from the store's toolkit to brutally murder Jayna, including a hammer, a knife, a merchandise peg, a rope, and a box cutter.
God, this sounds like a fucking clue.
Yeah, I didn't think of that. The rope, yeah.
It's awful.
Norwood then left the store, moved Jayna's car to a parking lot 3 blocks away, where she sat for 90 minutes trying to come up with a plan to cover up her crimes. She then went back to the Lululemon and put this plan into action. She took the money from the cash registers to stage a robbery. She sliced open her own forehead and cut little gashes on her body, as well as cutting open Jayna's pants to make it look like she had been sexually assaulted. She then donned a pair of men's size 14 shoes, walked in the puddle of Jayna's blood, and then walked around the store to make it look as if male attackers had been inside.
Insane.
But like an idiot, she puts the shoes back on the fucking shelf.
Yeah, why would...
Yeah, she should have left the store with those shoes. At the very least, but we love a dumb criminal.
We do love a dumb criminal. We really do.
She then finally zip-tied her own feet and hands, using her teeth to finish up her hands, which later they would find her DNA on that zip tie like that. And then she settled into the bathroom to wait until morning. Now, one weird thing about how she was found is she had her hands above her head, which if you've ever held your hands above your head for too long, your arms start to get tired.
Yeah.
But she didn't have it hooked to anything. So when they walked in the room, she had them above her head as if she couldn't lower them. But yet there was nothing to stop her from lowering them, which would have happened automatically as you got tired.
Right. That's so suspicious.
Yeah. So there were a lot of red flags early on that I didn't say purposely because I wanted you to bite the hook on this one, which you which you did. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
I was so worried because you saw the catfish one coming so soon. I'm like, man, she might see right through this.
Oh, no. Well, not today, I guess.
So during her 6-day trial for the Lululemon murder in January of 2012, Norwood's defense team did not deny that she had killed Jayna Murray. They did, however, argue that the murder was not premeditated. They successfully argued that the information about the stolen leggings were irrelevant to the trial because it was hearsay. So
Interesting.
So the prosecutors could not tell the jury an actual motive for the killing. In order to prove premeditation, the prosecution focused on how long the attack took place.
Interesting.
In their argument, Jayna was attacked for around 20 minutes. And most of those injuries were inflicted on her while she was still alive.
That's fucked.
Which is really fucked because if those assholes on the other side of that wall had taken any action whatsoever, she would still be alive.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Such bullshit.
Utter bullshit.
So the defense attorney, Douglas Wood, stated, quote, "That day there was nothing going on between Jayna Murray and Brittany Norwood. The absence of a motive is an indication that it's not premeditated. That is not a crime of motive. This is a crime of passion," unquote.
It's weird. It's like, how do you define motive? Her motive was to not get caught stealing.
Which is so stupid. You're going to kill someone for that?
Right. Like,
just go on and get a new job.
Right. Like, people get away with that all the time. Like, it's really not the end of the world.
Yeah, just don't put Lululemon on your fucking resume.
Exactly, so no one calls.
So this poor woman is dead because it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make any sense at all. It's senseless.
However, the jury did not buy the defense's argument. According to one juror, when they went back to deliberate, he said, "I asked who thought it was first degree, and everybody's hands went up." The jury made their decision in 21 minutes, which I think might be the shortest one we've had here.
Yeah, that's quick as fuck.
I mean, that's probably most of that time is probably filling out the paperwork.
Truly.
So Brittany Norwood was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. She was sent to the Maryland Correctional Institution for Women. In 2015, she appealed her conviction through a law that guaranteed circuit court cases to a single appeal by the Court of Special Appeals. Her defense team claimed that the detectives had questioned her improperly and that she had not been read her Miranda rights when brought in for questioning. Her claims were dismissed, which effectively eliminated any additional direct appeal options. So she's never getting out.
Absolutely.
The Lululemon store where the crime occurred had remained boarded up and closed as the town eagerly awaited the trial. When it finally reopened later in 2011, Jayna's family attended a ceremony in Jayna's honor. Above the entrance, the store dedicated a tribute to Jayna. It was a stained glass mosaic window engraved with the word love. And that is still in place today, even though the Lululemon is not still there.
Oh, wow.
Which is pretty cool. And we'll post pictures of
cool.
that. Yeah, we'll post pictures of that on the Instagram as well. So that
is... Yeah, it's really great that they do that.
Yeah, it's nice. It's a good thing to... It's just nice. One, it was nice of the Lululemon company to do it, but it's nice that the company that came in later kept it.
Yeah, it's a really nice gesture.
Yeah. And that is the case of Jayna Murray and the Lululemon murder.
Yeah, the twist is crazy and just like truly like the senseless violence is crazy.
Well, and not only that, but it's the, because you and I both because when I first heard about this case, I did the same thing you did. I thought, because I believe victims of a crime immediately. There's no reason not to go into it thinking they're telling the truth.
Exactly.
And what Brittany Norwood did was fucked up. Just not only the murder's fucked up, but just making everyone think that. Like, that doesn't help the case of believe survivors.
No, it doesn't.
It's so fucked up. And speaking of, have you heard that, this is off topic, but did you hear about that question that went viral maybe a week ago?
I don't think so. What was it?
If you were walking through the woods and
yes, the bear.
The bear.
The bear.
Yes.
Yes, and men on the internet are so mad about it.
But it's so true.
It's so true. That's why they're mad. Like, 'cause it's sorry. I'd rather a bear.
I read the best response to that ever.
What was it?
One woman said she would rather run into a bear because if the bear attacked her and she survived and went to the police, she would be believed that a bear attacked her.
True.
It's true.
It's true.
It's so fucked up. Yeah, that was such a great way to express just how fucked up the world is.
Literally.
But to be fair, I would also rather bump into a bear.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't know what a man's going to do. A bear is going to behave fairly predictably.
Yeah, the bear's not going to trick you.
Yeah, right?
You know what a bear's motive is, and you don't have to pretend to be nice and be like, "Oh, hi, Mr. Bear. Oh, what are you doing in the woods?"
Yeah, we don't want to offend you, Mr. Bear. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, my bad. Oh, I'm sorry. Did the feminists hurt you, Mr. Bear?
Well, it makes me think of that case we did with Claudia Brenner and Rebecca White and Stephen Roy Carr on the Appalachian Trail.
Yes.
They had no clue what they were in for.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what makes it that much more tragic. And it fits this whole argument. They would have rather have run into a fucking bear.
Yep. They would have been alive if they ran into a bear instead.
Yes, or most likely, yes. I mean, brown bears here in the U.S. aren't as dangerous. It's not like you're going to run into a fucking grizzly down here.
Right.
Which reminds me of something else. So we were talking a while back about the highest kill count for single lone mass shooters.
Mm-hmm.
And we had talked about the number 2 being one from Africa and one from Pakistan.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to make a clarification. I found out when I started researching those cases that even though it said on the list I saw that they were lone shooters, they were not. Those 2 cases were terrorist attacks by extremist groups.
Gotcha. So it wasn't just one lone shooter.
It wasn't one lone shooter. They both happened at schools, but there were groups. One was Al-Qaeda and the other one was a different group altogether. They were brutal, and we may cover them someday, but they weren't lone shooters like I had been led to believe by the list that I saw. So I do want to apologize to our listeners for that.
Well, at least we know the truth now.
Right. I mean, how else does one person kill hundreds of people? It didn't seem likely, but now
it doesn't really add up.
But once you know it's a terrorist group, then you can kind of see, okay, they were able to kind of encircle them and keep them, and it made more sense. So
yeah, that makes way more sense.
Yeah. But okay, excellent. Thank you everybody for joining us. We will see you next week. I am Janus Dead.
And I'm Joyous Dead.
And we'll see you soon.
Bye.